we tell you, so we did have a tape where them do some investigation and found out that Queen Elizabeth wasn't the legitimate Queen of England. This is no joke business. They have done investigation and is now saying that the people them in Buckingham Palace not supposed to be in there based upon for something that happened maybe 100, 200 years ago with some illegitimate child that was placed there. And the real royal family, the people them is living in England. And this is now being documented. I don't know, I don't hear no big alabaloo about it. Sometimes when I talk things, I feel lonely though, because sometimes people say, where move to get them things from? Well, there's a documentary that this man has made showing that the legitimate royal family is not living in the Buckingham Palace or the House of Windsor. But it's a very interesting thing. I want to play some of it still, you know. I have to go find it though. I have to set it up and find it. You understand? Before I play the John Henry Clark. Yes. I want to touch piece of it that you can hear it. And then maybe it will stir your appetite for more information about it. But it's very interesting to hear them, which is the British people. It's not no foreigners. I said this, you know. Is big intellectuals who know what them saying is saying these things. It's not no conspiracy theory neither. You understand? They've just showing you and tracing the whole idea that, you know, you talk about bastard picnic. We talk about bastard picnic or jacket. Well, it's something similar to that happen over a period of time that give you this present queen, and what them call Queen Elizabeth. But it's a serious thing. So me could find it. Okay, all right. Here we go now.
I've made a startling discovery. There's good evidence that's recently come to light that back in the Middle Ages, one of the kings of England was illegitimate. And if that's so, it means that every king and queen of our country since shouldn't by rights have sat on the throne. But if not them, then who? Well, I've traced the real royal family, the bloodline that's been robbed of its inheritance. And I've discovered the person alive today who should be Britain's reigning monarch. This is how it happened. What am I doing making a fuss about a centuries-old skeleton in the royal family's closet? Well, to me, it's all about the rules of the club. The monarchy rests entirely on blood and inheritance. There's an absolutely rigid system for passing on the throne. Prince Charles is first in line, then Prince William, then Harry, then Andrew, etc. The chain of power and wealth and privilege depends on two rules. One, you have to be of the royal bloodline, and two, you have to be born legitimate. But what happens if the system goes wrong, if the chain gets broken? 500 years ago, that's exactly what happened, and this is the man responsible. Edward IV was king, but his claim to the throne was fatally flawed. I found evidence that he was conceived not by his royal father, but by a humble archer. It was the summer of 1441. England was at war with France. Edward's mother had gone there with her husband. While he was away fighting, she was rumoured to have had a fling with an English archer based in the Rouen garrison. 9 months later, Edward was born. Within 20 years, Edward became Edward IV. But gossip about his parentage persisted in his lifetime and even after his death. lashing round the Tudor court that Edward was illegitimate, and William Shakespeare actually articulates those rumours. He says in Richard III, if I can find it, when that my mother went with child of that insatiate Edward, noble York, my princely father, then had wars in France, and by true computation of the time, found that the issue was not his begot. That's pretty clear, isn't it? But the gossip was just that. There was no proof. Historians put it down to political mudslinging. But then an English historian called Mike Jones started rooting around in the archives at Rouen Cathedral. And he discovered a document that for the first time provided facts to substantiate the rumours that Edward was a bastard. When you came here, what was it you were researching?
I was looking into the records of the 100 Years' War.
And you found this thing?
This register.
What is it?
It's a record of the cathedral chapter for the summer of 1441.
What's so significant about the summer of 1441?
This is when Edward would have been conceived.
And what was it that you found?
That the Duke of York, his father, is not actually where he should be. He's on campaign in Pontoise. Prayers are being offered for his safety.
What does it say?
It says, a sermon is being preached for the safety of the Duke of York on campaign in Pontoise.
So they're worried that he's away at the very time when he was supposed to be impregnating his wife?
Yes.
But couldn't the child have been premature?
Very, very unlikely. A premature child would have been recorded.
No one had ever understood the significance of this information before you found it?
I couldn't quite believe it myself, that something as scandalous and sensational as this could have really happened.
But this is really definite. This is the original document.
It's the original document, and it shows that at the crucial time, from July through to August, the crucial 5 weeks, the father is not there.
Edward was born in late April 1442. Counting back 40 weeks earlier puts his conception right in the middle of the 5-week absence of his supposed father. Now, conception dates aren't an exact science, but 5 weeks is a big gap. Infant mortality was very high. Sick or premature babies with a claim to the throne were a risk, and chroniclers always recorded them. What's more, this new evidence binds together other clues about Edward's birth, which had previously been glossed over. First, the Rouen Cathedral records also tell us that Edward's christening was a hushed-up affair in a side chapel. In contrast, his younger brother had the whole of Rouen Cathedral opened up in celebration. Second, the lantern-jawed Edward looked nothing like the thin-faced man who was supposed to be his father. And thirdly, neutral sources tell us that his mother herself declared that Edward was a bastard, even making a legal deposition. She knew that the truth was vital to the integrity of the royal line. So why does it matter whether or not Edward IV was legitimate? Well, if I stick this up here, hopefully I can show you. This line at the top here is the great line of British kings through from Alfred the Great to Henry II to Edward III. But after Edward, suddenly the whole thing explodes. It goes whoosh, because it's the War of the Roses, and all the kings start dying off like flies until in 1485, when Richard III dies, there are no claimants left except this one, Henry VII. And his claim comes through this line, which is an extremely dodgy one, because it's about the fact that John of Gaunt had a mistress Catherine, and they had children. And that line is specifically barred from inheriting the crown. So in order to legitimise himself, Henry VII married this woman, Elizabeth of York, and her claim is based on the fact that she is the daughter of Edward IV. But if Edward IV is illegitimate, then that invalidates the claim of Elizabeth, and consequently of Henry, and of Henry VIII, and of Elizabeth I, and of the Georges, and of Victoria, and everyone all the way down to the House of Windsor. Those few words in an ancient document had potentially seismic results. Edward's illegitimacy removed a vital link from the royal chain. I was about to contest British history as we know it. I wasn't naive. I knew it was impossible to be 100% certain about events that happened 500 years ago. But I wanted to make sure I had the balance of probability on my side. And where better to check 15th century facts than at the academic world's 15th century conference.
Around the time that Luther challenged his colleagues at the University of Wittenberg on the matter of indulgences, another doctor of divinity was exciting to wholly different effect.
In the much-needed break, I sounded out other opinions about Mike's theory. Do you think that there's a question mark over Edward's legitimacy?
I think there is. It was certainly raised at the time, fairly close to the time.
It's a dynasty that destroys itself. If you start killing your brother and things of this sort, there's something odd going on. It's a very unstable time, I think, under Edward IV.
Well, his research is very, very thorough and well done. On this particular topic, we're talking about an issue where everybody has said it's impossible in the past, it's nonsense, it's rubbish. And what Michael has done is he's shown it's feasible or plausible.
I also talked to Mike again, who gave me one more plank of evidence, this time from Edward himself. Edward and his followers seem to have been suspiciously eager to tell the world that he was legitimate.
His own circle, once the story gets out, go to the opposite extreme to try and dampen it down. But that's what's so fascinating. So they're bringing out these wonderful eulogies to Edward, but they keep having to emphasize what should be obvious. Conceived in wedlock, of the royal blood. But he's on the throne.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much.
Indeed.
Yeah. As part of their desperate propaganda campaign, Edward's supporters wanted to deflect attention away from Raw. So they named an alternative time and place for his conception. The respectable family residence at Hatfield Chase in Yorkshire, before Cecily Neville even left for France.
But when we actually look at the itinerary of Cecily and Richard, we find they've travelled south by the beginning of June 1441. So this conception would have had to have taken place in May 1441.
Why is that a problem?
Edward's birth date is the 28th of April 1442. That is
11-month concern.
That is some pregnancy.
11-month pregnancy, yes.
So I've heard of trying to strengthen one's case, but in the process, they've shot themselves in the foot.
In other words, when Edward's supporters tried to counter the gossip about his illegitimacy, they came up with a story that would have made him 8 weeks overdue, which modern science knows to be impossible. I was ready to start the quest to find who should really be sitting on the throne of Britain today.
Yes, that was a piece of this documentary here, and very intriguing. And I want to tell you something, you know. My mother not easy, you know. But if I was to follow my mother, I'd go to England, you know. My mother sit down and read everything about England, you know. She make me go watch. Well, she don't make me go watch, but she usually carry me go every movie. We have something in there. We are deal with Henry VIII, Beckett, Thomas Beckett, all of them people there. And me I tell you, say, from me a little boy, I mean, hear my mother talk about Queen Elizabeth, you know, she say, I legitimate picnic. My mother, from me a teenager, anytime you hear she talk about Queen Elizabeth, she say, Queen Elizabeth, I want a legitimate picnic. And that is really, really something considering, say, I mean, it's something where it's a hush-hush. But most people who supposed to know, so that documentary there have a valid, is valid. Because, the documentary I just make, my mother didn't know that. My mother tell me that. and say it in front of her friend them. That she could have gone to university to go teach English literature or English history. The way well, not even English, but European, but especially England. And me talk about like 50 years ago. Me talk about like 40 years ago. Me talk about like 30 years ago. Me talk about when me live with my mother and I go primary school. Till me a teenager. And anytime she came, me go to one movie, she explain the movie to me. Oh, my mother didn't know, say. Oh, my mother used to say this thing. That Queen Elizabeth is a legitimate picnic. And now I realize, when she say illegitimate, she don't mean that Queen Elizabeth's father is not the father, the mother is not the mother, but the bloodline of the British throne. There's where the legitimacy come in. Because you have to be one blood coming right down to be part of the throne of England, just like in Ethiopia. All the emperors related in some way or another. All of them is either the grandson of the son or the father or the mother or something, but all of the emperors of Ethiopia have a bloodline relationship connected by blood. And so it is in England that the legitimacy of the British throne come through bloodline. And what this is saying is that the present monarchy is not the true monarchy. These things are going like some underground kind of history, underground story. What? Them know it. You think them don't know? You ever hear them talk about say we gone by the morning, can't go good evening, and that them a work off for. Them a work off for say the thing gone bad already now, we can't really go function, say it wrong, you know, say yo, we are going to do. We will just say it right, and the more you tell the liar, the more it become true. And see then now a man come and hurt the whole history, the whole thing, and if you show you say something wrong. Somewhere, way down the line 500 years ago, something wrong. It's like how Queen Elizabeth I make herself a virgin. The people are easy though. But I want to say yes, because really and truly, a whole heap of the things them, when we remember about England and the history of England and Europe. And my mother, me get it through. And she helped me by carrying me to all these movies. I remember all a movie named Cyrano. I tell you, I remember all a movie named Cyrano, you know, after that, I say, wow. You know, when we go to Holland, I'm going to the torture museum, implements of torture. And I look at the things them where the Europeans them use to torture people in that way you call the Inquisition. You're damn if you don't, and you're damn if you do. When me hear my mother tell me about Robin Hood, and me see them make movie about Robin Hood, and them tell Richard the Lion-Hearted. And when me hear about Richard the Lion, me also realize that Richard was a real king who got plunder Jerusalem because the lion of there England, so he become Lion-Hearted. So it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing that Thomas Becket, where them kill him kneeling down in front of the altar in the church. They murder him. When we remember all Caesar, Julius Caesar and Brutus and all them people there. All them things there, me reflect back on my mother, the barbarians. It's a serious thing. So, we're glad for the confirmation over the years, after so much years. We come really find out, say, but wait, oh, my mother know all them things that I read, she read them. Them days there was no days of computer. And me I tell you the truth, my mother can see better than me right now because me see, me and I sit down in front of the television as whole as she's there so now. And she read, when she watch CNN, she read the things them where, the word them we have flash across the screen under the bottom. And me have to open my eye wide and I try to figure out, it's wait I say. And she don't wear glasses. My mother nearly, as soon reached 90, and she don't wear glasses. And me remember all of them things there. From Palace Theatre to Gaiety, to Rialto, to Kings, all of them theatre there on one road. It's the only road in Jamaica where we have 4 different names. Starting from Coke Church. It start name one thing and end up name the other thing, and it's one straight road. One straight road. But you did have Gaiety, with the right at the corner Hanover Street in front of Central Police Station. That was a theatre where you used to pack up when you go in the yard to triple bill. On a Monday night, them show you triple bill. Then you have Palace Theatre, where the right at the corner South Camp Road, where Machado over the other side. That time Machado did over the other side. So you have Palace Theatre. Then further down the line you have King's Theatre. That road near to Dunon Road there, so. After you pass a Vauxhall School, that one of them places are there, Dunon, there, yeah. And then you have Rialto. Rialto Theatre used to down right in front of Bellevue, they saw the main gate, that Bellevue at the bottom, they saw. And me used to go all of them theatre there with my mother. Because me and her alone live. And especially on Monday night, you know, have triple bill. 3 movies I watching on one night. You understand? That I will leave it as, sure, me I tell you, man. All of them things they come up back in my mind because me I remember these things when me I listen to the man. The first time I watched the documentary, me I was about weird. And my mother, me hear I say these things about the illegitimacy of the Queen of England. Anyway, this is the Cutting Edge on IRFM. We're now going to leave upon that. And next thing we're going to